My name is David Stewart. To the world, I am known as Nizm.
Come on, man. Nobody fucking with this. It's going on record. Cocky, very little arrogant, quiet. Fuck it. Shit's gotta be said for what it's worth.
It's kind of like what we talked about that Chicago sound. Back then, he's capturing that in a project archive.
Feeling that, burn the track, just like that. Yo.
Chicago hip-hop artist, now an international artist for over 10 years or so, doing my thing with the rap thingy, if you will. So that's what I do. Well, that time it was still on the back end of what's called the golden era. So you had technology beginning to infiltrate, and so now you have people who couldn't putting out product, you know, with the advent of things like the CD burner and all that. Now every corner you look, you had, you know, MC so-and-so popping off albums, and people were starting to go past, you know, rapping in ciphers and just, you know, I'm just rapping for rapping's sake. People began to really start taking it serious. And then around that time too, we had so much going on world-wise. 9/11 had just happened. Aaliyah's passing had just happened. So it was a lot that people began to look at, artistically speaking, and began to kind of delve outside of their comfort zone of, you know, just kicking dope raps for dope rap's sake. And it began kind of a competition, a healthy competition that's still here today. A lot of artists that are still out putting music out, the Pugsleys, the visuals that have gone on from, you know, CDR projects to bigger and better things internationally. So it was, looking back, it was quite a embryonic time of growth for the scene in hip hop within Chicago. For college radio in Chicago, it was RGCI, Our Power 92. Because even now, independent artists still aren't heavily played. So a lot of times you went to LUW, which is the hip hop project, still going strong, WHBK and UR, and you know, it was a big deal because they played the music without as much politics. And for many, including me, it was the first time to, you know, tell people, yo, I'm on the radio. And people would be like, sure, and then they would actually hear you on the radio. So we learned the importance of radio and spins and all that on a collegiate level. And a lot of times those DJs that were on collegiate radio, and still to this day, they themselves are artists. So they understand the struggle of being a local or independent artist and trying to get that airplay and the exposure out there. So without them, a lot of us wouldn't have had our starts. In the case of like LUW, the hip hop project, they've been going strong since 1995. And big ardent supporters of Nizm and a lot of other people, and to this day, you know, I'll happily give them music because, you know, they've been there for the artists. And I mean, without college radio in Chicago, a lot of artists would not have been heard, especially in the pre-internet, pre-blog days of as far as music and advertising. Whew, wow, that's quite a bit of those. Anyone who grew up in that time for our Chicago hip hop remembers North Pier, which is now some bougie wine thingy. Many a day there, and even Navy Pier on the weekends. A lot of people, that's where I got my start after high school. Friday, Saturdays, Sunday nights, we right at the front gate of Navy Pier, you would just see a big cipher. For those who don't know what a cipher is, it's usually a circular group of individuals partaking of improvisational rhyme skills, doing what they do. Then there was Some Like It Black, the original Some Like It Black on 19th in Michigan, which was a two-story structure, held some of the best local concerts the city's ever known. And back then, Taste of Chicago meant more to Chicago artists. You would have people, including myself, who would, you know, grab a bag, grab $10, and you had no intentions of buying food. You were down there to go rap because you knew the best of the city was going to be there, and you would meet new people. And back then, we also used to battle the New York crew, BDP, and breaking and MCing. So it was, those are to me some of the more memorable spots, and that's where I've met a lot of people, from Mike Check, now known as Check Famous, to Iron Monster Marad, And it was a camaraderie. It's still a cutthroat environment, but it was a camaraderie of knowing that when you saw a cipher anywhere, or even Columbia College back in the day, you had to bring your A game. It wasn't no, you know, subpar standards, because you would get your feelings hurt by everybody around. So those are the biggest spots that stood out to me. Wow. Well, you stir up the pot, and as far as In Due Time, as far as where I was at as a person and as an artist, I was just coming off making my first project, which was an EP on, and I was giving birth, which was called Subtle Perspectives. At the time, me and the company split for creative differences, and I was looking to establish myself stronger as an artist. And at the time, I was working closely with a guy by the name of Prophecy, and you know, he was going for the old Pete Rock, CL Smoothish formula with a few scattered producers here and there. It was my first real album, if memory serves me right. I think it was like 16 or 17 tracks, and it really showed me what it takes to make an LP versus an EP. The lead single for In Due Time is called Typical Weekend, which is my first foray into making mainstream music with a singer by the name of Azriel. It's a song that in Chicago I'm still known for today. Very lighthearted production by Overflow from Stowaways of Birthright Records. And from there, just the ball got rolling. Production also included a guy by the name of Prometheus, Strappy from Ill Nature. And it's a very diverse project, and just my life experiences. At the time, I was engaged. I was a stepfather. I recently got back from Germany from school. Like I said, 9/11 had happened, Aaliyah's passing, and then just where I was at as a man, I was around 20, 21 at the time. So the things that characterize growing up in, I guess, an urban area, if you call it, and being in school at the time, all these things factored into my music. So I couldn't say I made the typical rap album that was street oriented or this, because that's not really my background. So it was really just about making my art imitate my life and just creating a time capsule of the time, which ironically it has, because 8, 9 years later now, there's a re-release of this album. And just listening to this project again recently, as an artist, you don't really realize how you capture times in music. And looking back, listening to that, I'm thinking, wow, this is where I was at mentally. And it shows the power of music, not just so much from an advertising and business point of view, but from a creative point of view of, you know, there's some things then I wouldn't do now, but I can never duplicate that. And I would say to anybody that listens to their favorite artist, if you love that album that they have, know that you'll never get that time back. If they're a strong artist, they're evolving and growing. And like I said, all those things factored into what became In Due Time, which was my first, I guess, critically acclaimed album. You know, I sold over like 1,100 units hand to hand, all CDRs, which is not an easy task. You know, making, and anyone during this time knows this, you know, you're going to Kinko's, you're making copies of your album cover, you're buying CDs, duplicating them, burning them every day, and I'm doing this in between homework and everything else. But it was the foundation in many ways of the artist and the man that became Nizm today. And looking back on that time, it showed me a lot mechanically about artistry and everything else. So I wouldn't change how anything went for anything in the world. I would say patience, tenacity, know that don't be afraid to fail. A lot of times, and this isn't anything, we're scared to falter, scared that it won't go right. In this music, even now, it's changed so much from that time period. I would recommend them, you know, do what it has to take to be successful. You're going to put in a lot of hours. You're going to pay people. You're going to deal with shady people. You're not going to get what you want the first couple hundred times, but it's a matter of how much you want it. And as an older man and someone that's hung around in this music scene, you know, the victories have been few and far between, but they've been sweet when I've gotten them. I mean, any artist here knows and not only in Chicago, but anywhere, it's a lot of frustration to get your music out, especially when you see lesser quality artists out there getting the success you deserve. But in the end, it's really about the effort you put into it. So I would say, you know, be diligent, learn, and also, lastly, learn your business. There were a lot of people who never learned music business, the importance of ASCAP, the importance of what do BDS spins affect, marketing and all that. A lot of us came up and thought, hell, I got a CD. I'm selling it, you like me, buy it. Doesn't work that way. So learn the business, learn the art, learn the craft of what you do, and you stick around long enough, it will benefit you. It will benefit you. So with that, I would say, here's green eggs and ham, baby.